Hello, children. It's Grandma Carla with my beautiful granddaughter, Ruth. And it is the 4th of July. So we are enjoying another chapter of Freddy and the Perilous Adventure. And we're on chapter 5. So you're going to have to listen to catch up, aren't you? Mm-hmm. The eagle, whose name was Breckenridge, had told Freddy that they were now over the northern Adirondacks and headed for Lake Champlain. But the wind was almost gone. Slowly and more slowly they drifted, and at last hung nearly motionless over a long, narrow lake, the wooded shores of which were almost solid rows of summer cottages and camps. Pretty soon, people caught sight of the balloon and came running down off their porches with opera glasses and telescopes and shouted and waved. But this was getting to be an old story to the balloonists now, and they hardly troubled to wave back. Early in the afternoon, Freddy saw a speck in the southern sky, which he at first took to be an airplane, but which, as it grew steadily larger, he saw was an eagle. "Look, Alice, Emma," he said excitedly. "Here comes Pickney's brother. Oh, I hope... Yes, he's got a hamper." And sure enough, in his strong talons, the eagle was carrying a large hamper whose contents were covered with a white napkin. "How's he going?"
Hamper.
It's like a basket. Okay? Kind of like a picnic basket or like clothes basket, something like that. It says, I think this might be a picnic basket because it says, whose contents were covered with a white napkin. "How's he going to give it to us?" said Alice. "If he perches on the edge of this thing, he'll have to let go of the hamper first, and if he keeps hold of the hamper, he can't stop." Apparently, Breckenridge had just had the same thought. He soared in circles around the balloon 2 or 3 times, and then, shouting hoarsely to Freddy to catch hold, he came in closer, beating his wings in swift strokes to hover motionless beside them. Freddy leaned out as far as he dared, but he could not reach the hamper, for Breckenridge's wings were so big that he could not come any closer without hitting the ropes. He dropped away from them on a long slant, then came past again. "Devise something, Pig! Devise something!" he called. "My goodness," said Freddy, "what can I devise? Oh dear, there's our dinner right in plain sight, and it might as well just be in California. Oh, wait!" he exclaimed suddenly. "The grapnel!" He picked up the 4-pronged anchor and lowered it over the side until it hung some 10 feet below them, then took a turn of the rope around a cleat and waited. The eagle, with a harsh scream of approval, swooped down and hung the hamper on one of the hooks, and then flew up to perch beside Freddy and help him haul it up. The hamper tipped dangerously as they pulled it over the side. "Careful, Pig," said Breckenridge. Let not your native greed overmaster caution. No need to share these viands prepared for you by the capable spouse of the worthy bean with the finny folk in the waters below." So he's an eagle, and eagles talk in very high language. "You are indeed an accomplished porker," he went on as they swung the hamper to the floor. "I feared for a time that my errand was in vain." "You're pretty accomplished yourself," said Freddy modestly. "And pretty kind, too, to take all this trouble for us." He was so hungry that he could hardly talk, but he felt it wouldn't be very polite to start eating until he had thanked Breckenridge. But the eagle snatched the napkin off the hamper with his beak. "Your courtesy," he said, "should be a lesson to all quadrupeds. But now let courtesy give place to appetite." There was a note under the napkin. It said, "Dear Freddy, I am sending just what I could get together quickly. I would have baked a cake, but if you are hungry, you would not want to wait. Come home as soon as you can. We miss you. Mr. Bean sends kindest regards. Your friend, Mrs. Bean." "Well, that is nice," said Freddie. "And now, what have we got? Cookies, donuts, peach preserves, a pail of milk, deviled eggs." But I am sorry to say that when he had got this far in his catalog of the hamper contents, his mouth was so full that the rest of what he said was not understandable. The ducks had overcome their fear of the eagle, and they each began nibbling a cookie. "Won't you join us, Mr. Breckenridge?" said Emma timidly. "I would consider it an honor," replied the eagle, and immediately gobbled up 6 deviled eggs, one after another, whole. "Very tasty," he remarked, and ate 4 donuts. "A most accomplished culinary artist, the excellent Mrs. Bean," he added, and spearing a jelly sandwich with his beak, tossed it in the air and caught it and swallowed it in one motion. "How clever!" exclaimed Emma. She tried to do the same trick, but the sandwich flew out of her bill and over the side. "Careful," said Freddie. "We may be up here a long time, and we'll need all of this food." But the eagle, flattered by Emma's admiration, continued to do the trick until 8 jelly sandwiches, 4 bananas, and 6 slabs of gingerbread had disappeared. Freddie began to be worried. At this rate, they'd be out of supplies again before supper time. Yet he didn't like to say anything when Breckenridge had been so helpful. Fortunately, the eagle himself began to realize that he was eating more than his share, and suddenly put down a cinnamon bun that he was about to toss up and said with some embarrassment, "My good friends, I make you my apologies. I am presuming upon your hospitality." Not at all," said Freddie. "It is very slight return for your great kindness." "You are the very pattern of politeness," replied Breckenridge, and for several minutes they continued to exchange compliments. It was probably one of the most polished exchanges which has ever taken place in a balloon. Indeed, Freddie was so exceedingly courteous that he almost persuaded the eagle to eat up the rest of the provisions. At this point, luckily, Alice protested. Perhaps, she suggested, they could make Breckenridge some return for his service which would not be quite as ordinary as just something to eat. Freddie couldn't think of any reward for any service which could be better than something to eat, but he saw the point. "I have it," he said. "I will write another verse for him to my Ode of the Eagle." Breckenridge was delighted with the idea, and Freddie, who was always at his best as a poet after a good meal, began thinking, and in a few minutes had his verse. "The fearless eagle cleaves the stormy air. With mighty wings he sweeps the clouds asunder. He screams defiance at the lightning's glare, and at the thunder's crash he laughs like thunder." Breckenridge had Freddie repeat the verse several times before he would make any comment. Then he said, "My friend, aside from being one of the finest compliments ever paid our race, I do not believe that Shakespeare himself could have achieved a loftier flight of fancy." "Flight of fancy? Ha! Not bad, eh? The fearless eagle, tum-te-tum-te-tum. What rhythm, what sweep, and that phrase, 'at the thunder's crash.'" A distant low rumble interrupted his words. He turned sharply and peered up at the sky. Black clouds were piling up over the wooded hills, and a gust of wind sung through the ropes and set the basket swaying. "Thunder," muttered Breckenridge. Dear me, I'm afraid I must be going. My little Waldemar, alone in his nest, you know, mother away, visiting her aunt this weekend. Well, see you later." And he spread his wings and dropped from the edge of the basket. In a minute or two he had vanished in the northern sky. "That's funny," said Freddie. "Fearless eagle, eh? And scared of thunderstorms. He was scared, you know." "And so am I, Freddie," said Emma, as she watched fearfully the boiling cloud masses that crept over the sun. "Well, I am too," said Freddie, "but there's nowhere to go. We'll just have to ride it out. We'd better snug down as well as we can. I'll call the webs." The spiders came up over the edge of the basket, and Freddie found them a cozy refuge from the storm in one of the oiled paper envelopes the sandwiches had been wrapped in. And he put the envelope in the hamper, and then he and the ducks covered themselves up with blankets and ponchos, and having tucked themselves in carefully, waited for the storm to break, which it presently did with a binding flash and a crash, as if the whole sky had fallen in on them. The basket gave a lurch as the wind struck it. The rain pelted like hundreds of drums on the stretched rubber of the balloon, and then swaying and jerking crazily, balloon and basket, pig and ducks and spiders went careering off through the lightning-slashed darkness. Oh my. Okay, let's look at our pictures. Here is the picture of them throwing the grapnel out so that the eagle, Breckenridge, could attach the basket of food, do you see it, to the grapnel and haul it aboard. And here is a picture of Breckenridge eating far more than his share. He would toss it up in the air, and that was him eating, I guess, the boiled eggs that he was enjoying so much. Okay, so he was eating the deviled eggs, and everybody else was eating, but not quite so quickly as he was. It said that Emma tried to do the same trick, but she dropped her sandwich. This is Grandma Carla with Ruth, and I love you. Have a wonderful 4th of July.